We wanted to do documentary about these strong women that I helped, but no network wanted to do it. Anyway, and so I trusted her completely. I had absolutely zero editing, anything to do with the editing, and it's nothing at all. And watching the movie, and basically I didn't even want to watch it until opening night because I wanted to tell people, no, I haven't seen it. But she insisted that I watched it 1 or 2 months before. I did. But then when I was in the audience on opening night, we opened the Tribeca Festival. My husband was there, my son was there, my son cried the entire time. And it was very interesting because I was watching it completely detached and completely as a spectator. And what I wanted to tell you in front of everybody is that to be able to have the opportunity to detach yourself and to watch it, not, you know, I've written many books, but I write it. I've done a lot of things, but it's always me, my voice. And in this case, it was you. And actually, it has been very helpful for my growth. Even though I'm an old woman, I keep on growing. And so I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Diane's words always inspire me, so I definitely want you to share.
3 words. Okay, because I'm born on New Year's Eve. So I'm born on December 31st, and I always write my diary. So my new diary on January 1st is very important. It's a new diary, white page and everything. And I try to find, I always find words for the year. 2 years ago it was gratitude and clarity. And last year was intention and manifestation. And this year, it is strength, kindness, and the most important may be agility. I think it's a word that I actually never used before, but I think that in this crazy world where we all are, where we can absolutely not predict what is going on, I think more than ever it's important, first of all, that we are tight with ourselves, that we really have a really strong relationship, a practice about talking to ourselves every day, and be true to ourselves, and when we're feeling high, be low. When we're feeling low, it's okay, it's another door will open. I think the more important than ever is to be close to ourselves, and then to have agility and to be ready for anything. Because we as individuals have a lot of power, and we underestimate that power, and we have to use that power, and we shouldn't worry about really what other people think. If you're really truly honest with yourself, that means you're strict with yourself, so you should really do what you think is right.
Diane, your life has been like an anthem of freedom, where you've always forged your own path. And since the film has come out, I have watched as women who have watched the film, and even men, have approached you.
Men love it.
Yeah, and I want to know, what is the most surprising thing that you feel that once the film has come out into the world, that you've experienced by sharing your story?
I've only seen it 3 times, by the way. What surprised me the most is really men have enjoyed watching it. And I don't know. I mean, the word that comes out over and over is a word that I never used, unapologetic. And it fits me, actually. And listen, I hope that, I know that Charmin, she interviewed so many people. She interviewed so many people, because she and I, we only did a couple of interviews, but she spent so much time with the archives and interviewing people, and every time she would interview people, she would always say, you know, I'm learning so much about me right now while doing that. So if and she's tough, trust me, she's tough. She's got 2 Oscars, you know, Pakistani woman, you know, in a macho country. She's very, very strong. And for her to say that she was learning, because at the end, you know, I'm 78 years old. 78. So I'm really old now. And so what is important, when you get old, you think, okay, you think about legacy, but what does it mean, legacy? Legacy is first and foremost the good that you have done and the people that you have touched and the family you created. And I forgot what I was going to say. That's also being old, forgetting.
No, but a big part of your life, which has come out through the film, is how important your family is and how your family, including your children, have shaped your journey in so many ways as well. And having their voices in the film was so important because as a working mother, as a single mother of 2 young children in the 1970s, to forge the path that you did, very few women were able to.
You know, I'm very lucky because actually my children, who are both parents of adults already, they actually, when I think of them, I found something that makes me very happy. You actually are the children you have. Remember that when your children grow up. You actually will see in your children the person that you are. And the most important thing that you can do for your children, as important as loving them, is making them independent. That is the biggest gift my mother gave me. She was tough. She was really tough. And, but she made me independent. She never said, be careful. She said, if you do that, what can the consequences be? She always put the responsibility on me. And that's very important. And yes, I was, when I was 20, when I was 27, I separated from my husband. I had 2 children who were 3 and 4. I had a business that was a very big business, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was traveling a lot, so it was a lot. And I also wanted to have boyfriends. And so there were a lot of things to deal with. And I did the best I could. And, but the result came out good.
I love that you own all of that, because you have constantly reinvented yourself as you've gone.
I still am.
Yeah.
I still am. I'm inventing myself now.
And that is how I think when there was a setback in business or in life, you always found another thing that you would do to reinvent yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
But there are setbacks every day.
Yes.
I mean, it's not, and you, I mean, you just have to accept, you have to say, first of all, the things you have to get rid of is fear, shame, guilt, blame, and anger. No needed. Don't waste your time being angry. Don't waste your time being guilty. Don't waste your time being embarrassed. Don't. Be strict with yourself, but be you. Because there's no... So something didn't work out. Okay. It's because something else was meant to be. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story with my mother.
You wait, before you do that. Are you going to tell which story? I want to play
Left, right.
Okay, let's go the left, right story, and then can I play something first?
Yes.
I'm going to play you another clip from the.
No, I think it's better that.
Okay, let's go. This is how it worked in direction, by
it will be more effective. Okay, so my mother, my mother was 21 years old. She grew up. No, she grew up in Salonika in Greece, but the family moved to Belgium. So she went to Brussels in a school, normal school, and everything, and she happened to be Jewish. And so when she was about to get to high school, all of a sudden there were the racial laws, and she could no longer be in high school. Her headmistress loved her because she was a very good student, so she kept her as a student, but not registered. And what I found out recently, because my mother was arrested because she was in the resistance. But what I found out recently is that the headmistress was a big person in the resistance. So I think my mother was in the resistance because of her. Anyway, she got arrested. And when she got arrested, she said she was very worried that she was going to be tortured to have information about the resistance. She said, "Oh, I don't know anything. I'm Jewish." And the woman at the police station said, "Don't say you're Jewish because they will ship you away." Anyway, so they did arrest her. She went to jail. I mean, she went to this big military school that was a jail that is now a museum that you're going to see. And they had to wait until they were 1,000, and then they would ship them. But it was already, you know, it was already 1944. So by the time they were 500, they went transferred. They went to the cattle train, which you will see, and they went to Auschwitz. 4 days travel, 5 days travel, no light, no water, no food. You can imagine what it was. And in that cattle train, she became friends. She was 21. And she became friends with an older woman who was in her early 40s. And she spoke a little German. And so she thought, no matter what happens, I'm never going to leave this woman. So they arrive in Auschwitz-Birkenau. They arrive, they are all in a big line. And there's a soldier that selection, no? You go right, you go left, you go right, you go left. And way behind, on an elevated podium, there was this man in white who was only watching. He did not move. It turned out it was Joseph Goebbels. And so when turn came, the friend of my mother, the soldiers say, "You go right." And my mother, without being told what to do, followed her friend, and the soldier let her go. The man Goebbels, the angel of death, they call him, who had not moved the entire time, came down, took my mother, threw her on the other side, whipped her. And she looked at him with so much hate. He saved her life. Because the people on going into the right were going in the gas chamber. Wow. So the lesson that she always told me is that sometimes something you think is absolutely the worst is not. And every time my friends have little problem, I go with this big story, and they say, okay, I won't complain. And my mother said, I had so much hate for him, so much hate. But after that, she never hated anyone else.
Yeah. Well, we're going to show you a clip of, we were with Diane in Belgium, in Brussels, and we took her to the museum. Can we play the clip, please?
My mother gets arrested in Belgium. 5 days in the cattle train. No food, no water, people, you know, throwing up, all of that. And she always told me, fear is not an option. When she was arrested, she took some cardboard and she wrote to her parents, and she threw it on the street, hoping that somebody would find it. And she never, you see, she said, merci beaucoup. She gave the address, and she wrote to her parents, Mamika et toi, mon petit papa, votre petite Lily va partir. Où elle va, elle ne sait pas, mais Dieu est partout, n'est-ce pas? Alors, où qu'elle soit, jamais elle ne sera seule ni malheureuse. Je veux que vous soyez tous les deux très courageux. Je pars avec le sourire. Je vous le jure. My mother is incredibly important in every cell of my being. Elle est où, la maman?
Only the ones in sepia are the ones who survive. So everybody in black and white did not survive.
she lived the horror that none of us can even imagine. So, but because of that, she wanted me to have a big life. And a big life I had. And she also told me never be a victim.
Yes.
And no matter what, never be a victim. And that's a good advice.
Dan, when you look back at your life, and as you watch the film, if I was to ask you what is going to be the Diane von Furstenberg legacy?
Ooh.
Not that you're done yet.
No.
But just.
No. It was certainly, I wanted to be a woman in charge. I became a woman in charge, blah, blah, blah. Then realized that to be a woman in charge is a commitment to yourself, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm adding the kindness component. Because I discovered, because it's not like when I was little, I was particularly interested about kindness. I wanted to be in charge. But then once you are in charge, you realize that you have a new power. I mean, you always do, but you have a power of kindness. And kindness is a currency, and you could use it just like money. And the more you use it, the more it makes babies. And I want to make kindness sexy, because usually you say, oh, she's kind, it's like she's an idiot. Well, it's not the case. So that's my new message. And I'm working on that. I would like to create the Republic of Kindness.
Yes, absolutely. And the world needs that more than anything else. You often say that you created the dress, the wrap dress, but the wrap dress also created you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I made that little dress, but that little dress gave me confidence, gave me financial security, and because it was a dress, gave confidence to a lot of other women. And so and generation after, and then every 20 years, it's the 20 years old who discover it. So, I don't know, that was my thing. But it's that thing that chose me. It's one of those things. But we all, you know, when you start life, there are all these doors. You don't know which is going to be your door. And sometimes it's not the most glamorous. That door wasn't glamorous. Marrying a prince, that was a glamorous door. I did both.
A big part of the film is Diane's choices in life, and I'm not going to play that clip, but is Diane's choices in life. As a woman, I love the fact that you've always told the truth. You've never had to hide a boyfriend or a mistake or a path that didn't work out for you. Where does that come from? And we can all learn.
I don't know where it came from, but I'm so thankful. I mean, there's no better insurance policy than saying the truth at all times. I mean, it may seem difficult on the spot, but it's so much easier after. So I don't know how it happened. But I have never lied, and I've taught my children not to lie. And because when you lie, you're really lying to yourself. I mean, I'm very skillful at telling the truth in my own way. But I don't lie.
The seduction. The seduction. One of the things that you have really embraced and grown into is the support that you have for other women, especially women on the front lines, women working in difficult countries, sometimes standing. There are women here today.
One of our awardee.
Yes. You know, when the camera would be out and I would be standing in a corner and sort of just observing what Diane was doing, I would see all these women gravitate to Diane in this most wonderful manner. And for each woman, you had a minute and a message. And that says a lot about who you are.
But you know what? Every person that I talk to, I learn something. I mean, I refuse. I hope I'm not condescending. I mean, I give a lot of advice, and my children and my grandchildren say, okay. They know it all by heart. And of course, I leave the room and they talk like I do. But I try not to be condescending, and I'm interested. I don't like clubs. I don't like that kind of social bullshit. But I do like intimacy. I am interested in people. Even during COVID, I met a lot of people because I read their book. I connected with them. I became friends with them via internet. So I learn. I'm learning just as much, you know. So you expand, you know. You connect. You expand your own horizon if you talk to people. I don't know. It's always interesting.
And where do you see now your DVF wrap dress, the brand, the awards, as you and I were discussing how you're trying to put all of this together in some way?
Well, after COVID, I had given the control of my business to my partner in China because we have 50 stores there. And we just took it back. So starting this month, we're back. I have a very good CEO, and I didn't really want to take it back, but it was losing its identity, and so I had to do it. So that's that. And then, well, as I said, I'm trying to package my experience, my knowledge, my archives, my connections, and so that it could be useful. Because, you know, we're only here for a little bit, and all we are is energy anyway. Yeah. So
Diane's archives are phenomenal. So in her home, when you go downstairs, there are rooms and racks meticulously documenting every single pivotal moment of your life. And what for me was most incredible, if you saw that in that clip, the letter that she was reading, that is an original letter written by her mother that had fallen.
And it's a letter that my mother, she always told me, you know, when I was in the truck going from the police station to the prison, and then from the prison to the train, they were in trucks. And she always told me that she pulled a little cardboard and wrote with a match. And I said, yeah, yeah, and I didn't believe it, truly. And after she died, she lived in the Bahamas for the last 10 years of her life. And I lent her sister's son, my cousin, went there. I gave him the house for a few weeks. And he went there and he left behind a cardboard of photos that his mother had left him and that he thought I would like. And so I looked at them, most of the photos I knew, and at the bottom of the box, there was a very flat envelope, so flat, and it says Lily 1944. And I opened it. And those two notes that she would tell me about were there. And I don't think she knew that her parents had found the letters, because once they came back, nobody talked about anything, right? So the people, they didn't discuss anything. So she had no ideas that the notes she sent were actually got to her parents, and that her sister kept them, and it was in this envelope. And I am in my mother's house, her last house, and I'm opening this letter, and there's these two cardboards. And I mean, I don't get emotional very quickly, but I mean, that was really something. And her house is in the Bahamas, right in front of the blue turquoise water. So after I read it, I went into the water, and I speak a lot to myself. And I said, I am the daughter of a woman who went to the camp with a smile, because that's what she wrote to her parents. Of course, she did not go to the camp with a smile, but she wanted her parents to know that.
We have a few minutes, and we're going to open it up to just a few questions from the floor. Yes. Do we have mics here that we can... Great. I think
she's there.
Yeah.
Hi, Diane. I'm Pia from the Philippines. I'm a filmmaker also. I'm from the Global Shapers community. So I want to re-echo that to the Global Shapers, since I can't find any Global Shaper here. Maybe my question is, what's your hope or your optimism for the younger generation?
Okay. Well, lately I'm very interested in YouTube, which is the biggest whatever. So I've been very in touch with very, very young people, you know, under 25, and Gen Z, and I have actually 3 grandchildren who are Gen Z, and I am actually, and I feel guilty, even though I told you not to be guilty. I don't feel good about me, my generation, the baby boomers, the condition in which we're leaving the world, right? But that generation coming, they are very smart, and they're quite wonderful, and they will all deal with this entirely different world that we don't, the artificial intelligence. And I know people are afraid of artificial intelligence, but it's here. And I personally have become, I mean, GPT has become one of my very best friends, because I realize that it's not about just asking questions, but you can debate with it, and the more she knows about, I say obviously for me she's a girl, and she knows, and you can debate, and you can talk about philosophy, and so it's a whole other future that's coming, that everybody will have somehow this shadow friend. So you better get used to it. And of course, there's a lot of very weird things that are happening, and there's a wave of rage. There's a wave of machismo. And so the one thing we cannot be is angry about it. We have to absolutely seduce it. I mean, we cannot be angry, we cannot be aggressive. We have to be as much women as we can, which means nurture. We must think about, always when you deal with a man that is aggressive, just think about how you raise your son. And that's why I said the word is agility.
We have very quickly, last question.
Very quick. I'm Paula Escobar, a Chilean journalist. So I wonder, have you suffered hostility being a woman in charge when you were beginning your career? And how do you think it's a smart way of dealing with, you know, men, macho men that don't like women in charge? Thank you.
You know what? I never really felt hostility.
Maybe because you didn't choose to see it?
Maybe because, I don't know, maybe because I was seductive. You know, I don't like, you don't throw your, I mean, you know, my first husband, I got so successful so quickly that it was hard for him to deal with it. And so we separated, but we stayed very good friends. I stayed very good friends with everyone. And I can't remember having a fight with anyone. I don't have an enemy. But I make a point of it, you know. I don't like enemies, and I try to...
Good.
But I'm not perfect. Trust me.
On that note, thank you everyone watching online, and thank you everyone for joining us here.